The Gospel of Luke, chapter 9, verses 28 through 36 and 37 through 43a. Now, about 8 days after these sayings, Jesus took with him Peter and John and James and went up to the mountain to pray. And while he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly, they saw two men, Moses and Elijah, talking to him. They appeared in glory and were speaking of his departure, which he was about to accomplish at Jerusalem. Now Peter and his companions were weighed down with sleep, but since they had stayed awake, they saw his glory and the two men who stood with him. Just as they were leaving, Peter said to Jesus, "Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwellings, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah," not knowing what he said. While he was saying this, a cloud came over them and overshadowed them, and they were terrified as they entered the cloud. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, "This is my son, my chosen. Listen to him." When the voice had spoken, Jesus was found alone, and they kept silent. And in those days told no one of any of the things they had seen. On the next day, when they had come down from the mountain, a great crowd met him. Just then, a man from the crowd shouted, "Teacher, I beg you to look at my son. He is my only child." Suddenly, a spirit seizes him, and all at once, he shrieks. It convulses him until he foams at his mouth. It mauls him and will scarcely leave him. I begged your disciples to cast it out, but they could not. Jesus answered, "You faithless and perverse generation, how much longer must I be with you and bear with you? Bring your son here." While he was coming, the demon dashed him to the ground in convulsions. But Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, healed the boy, and gave him back to his father. And all were astounded at the greatness of God. The word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Let us pray. Speak, loving God. Speak in our hurt, in our pain, in our loss, in our joy, in our love, in our compassionate, grace-filled hope. Move, Spirit, move. Give us your grace in this time. Give us a sense of your being in this time. Holy Spirit, have your holy, loving presence and your way in this space and in this message. Amen. Let's take a moment of self-discovery. I invite you to get into a comfortable position and close your eyes. Breathe in and breathe out. While you're focusing on your breathing in and breathing out, picture it, 2022. You're on a mountain looking down from the mountaintop. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you smell? What are you feeling uneasy about? Breathe in and breathe out. While you are focusing on your breathing, breathe in the Spirit of God. Breathe out your worry. Breathe in your fulfillment of your call. Breathe out the concern on your heart. What do you experience about yourself while on this mountain? What do you experience in your inner self and spiritual self while being present on this mountain? When you are ready, I invite you to prepare to open your eyes and meet Jesus down from the mountain, holding on to this feeling and being changed through the mountaintop. Today, we heard from the Gospel of Luke, sharing that mountaintop experience of pure, dazzling, glittery glowingness from Jesus. It is unspeakable to know what they were feeling in this moment. But as Luke lends to be more of the heart-shaped gospel, it is in that description we experience the Transfiguration and the events that happened around it. The Transfiguration happens in 3 Gospels, the synoptic ones, which are Matthew, Mark, and Luke. This experience of Christ changing and experiencing something new that was not there before is not like a Transformers movie with Bumblebee the yellow Camaro, but it is that awe-inspiring feeling of chills, delight, and greatness that they experienced in the once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-creation moment. Then we experience the humanness of these disciples arguing over which dwelling to build. Sometimes we can get caught up arguing over what to do next, that it becomes impossible to get anything done. We get stuck, and we don't have any gooby gone for ourselves as humans. In all reality, Jesus wanted the disciples to see that it really didn't matter what dwelling was built, as long as he was with them, being present. But they just were not getting it. So that escalated to God's commanding voice from the clouds, assuring and stern vocal response. There are 4 events in this passage that have transpired. First, we have the dazzling awesomeness of Jesus. Second, the experience of seeing Moses and Elijah. Third, the voice from the clouds saying those all-powerful and all-assuring, commanding words, "This is my son, my chosen, listen to him." Then finally, we experience the healing that the disciples did not do, but Jesus did. Looking at the response from the voice in the clouds, some translations use the word beloved. Belovedness, friends, is special and holy. It is unlike human love, but that agape love from God. That love that says, you matter and you belong. It is in that love where we acknowledge that which is not clear but is present in our lives. These experiences of seeing Jesus glowing in dazzling white clothes, to hearing Moses and Elijah, all the way to hearing the voice of God smack dab in the middle of an argument over what dwellings to construct, is just unheard of in our human sense of understanding. It's just unheard of. Just because our human mind can't understand it, can't comprehend it, or has not been able to this point, does not mean that it is non-existent. That is what faith is about. Believing in the not yet seen, not yet known, not yet existent, but assuring that that which is not seen will be, and at other times is present. Looking at today's gospel lesson, we hear of this miraculous story of healing. There are some difficult words from Jesus to the faithless and perverse generation. If we look at the beginning of chapter 9 of Luke, in verse 1 it says that Jesus called the 12 together and gave them power and authority over all demons and to cure diseases. And he sent them out to proclaim the kingdom of God and to heal. Usually when preaching on this passage, that text of sending, going into the world, I gravitate towards the importance of shaking the dust off your feet from place to place, but not as much about the authority over all demons and to cure diseases. So when we get to the verses from today, Jesus says that harsh response, but I don't think it is to the gathered, but instead to the disciples themselves. It is important to note that those words of faithless and perverse are invoking Moses' words in Deuteronomy. Basically, Jesus was like that person who needed to get them to see something and to do something that they were capable of, but they didn't want to do it and didn't have the faith required to do that task. They just wanted him to do it. How many times do we have that experience as well? Friends, we can't do that as followers of Jesus on this long, treacherous journey. Whether it's up the mountain, down the mountain, or to a person in need of healing. I found it so interesting that when I was discerning this passage, that part in the beginning of chapter 9, about him giving them the power to do the things, and then he has to do this 40 verses later, not 40 days later, 40 verses later, literally days apart. Days apart from their instructions of what to do and them being sent off. It was almost like a light bulb moment for myself, and I am sure you've had those wonderful experiences like this in these holy words of Scripture. I think Jesus' next words were going to be, how hard-headed can you be? Am I speaking to the air? Is there a brick wall that I am communicating with? Because if a few days before they were sent to do these tasks, they just decided, well, we're going to just let Jesus do it. We're just going to let someone else do it. I'm sure Jesus was feeling some kind of way towards these close friends, the disciples, who lacked faith. We need to believe things are possible. It can be so hard sometimes to see the future possibilities and to understand why something occurs or is happening the way it happens. We like to control things to the best of our own ability. But friends, trusting God, just as the disciples should have trusted in this moment of healing, but they stumbled on that journey. They hit a rock. Sometimes we will have the critics and the people that are talking down to us, saying something is not possible. But friends, with God, with faith leading the way, anything is possible. We can't let others get us down. We can't let others cause our flame to be less bright and hot. But we can't let others control that which God has called us to do and become. We can't let others control when to say yes to the call or no to other distractions. We can't let others control our emotional or physical reaction to what God is doing in our lives. We can't let others dictate our lives. We can't let others try and impact the journey of faith that is required to be a follower of Jesus Christ. We can't let others tell us how to feel and react to certain people, certain ideas, or what is or is not possible. Because, friends, people like to stifle the Spirit. There is certainly a reason why Jesus transfigured on top of a mountain. If it had been in plain sight, the reaction would not have been the same. It is likely that the reason why he instructed those with him to not speak of it until the Son of Man had risen from the dead in Mark 9:9, that he didn't want it to share around the world because it was an intimate encounter with God. It was an intimate experience with God. Matthew shares a similar instruction from Jesus. However, Luke is unique because it doesn't share the instruction in Matthew or Mark's account of them being ordered to not tell anyone until after the Son of Man had risen from the dead. It says in Luke 9:36 that they kept silent and in those days told no one any of the things that they had seen. In all three gospel accounts of the Transfiguration, the man who is the father of the boy that was healed shares to Jesus the inability and lack of faith of the disciples to cure the boy and cast out the demons. When Jesus is saying this to them, he's basically asking them, why am I teaching you this power and giving you this gift if you can't follow through? Why am I allowing you to do these miraculous things if you're just going to throw it away and not make use of it? In many ways, the church likes to do that. They like to think that they're too small, don't have enough financial resources, that there isn't enough support, and all the other excuses of why they can't help people and be present with them. Sometimes it takes just being present. You don't have to do something miraculous and life-altering like healing a boy with a demon to make a difference in the lives of others. Let me reiterate that. You don't have to do something miraculous and life-altering to make a difference in the lives of others. Think about that. When we share in the food drive collection each month for the Dobbs Ferry Food Pantry, it just takes a car and a few people. And we have been able to do amazing things with just a few. When we collect items for people that are in need, it doesn't take that much effort. But it takes faith that we will collect enough to make it worth it. I think if worship was done in this same manner, the church as a whole, not just this community of faith, would look differently as to what is necessary in worship and what stifles the Spirit in worship. Worship is transformative, and being in community can at many times be the greatest blessing for someone's week or even their month. It takes faith in worship that what we do is enough, and that our abilities and gifts in worship, paired with the extraordinary transformative presence of the Holy Spirit, will make a difference in the lives of others. Sometimes we don't need so many people to make a difference, but it takes faith, much like the faith that the disciples needed when they were tasked in casting out demons. This passage from Scripture evokes many emotional responses. In one sense, it is transformative, in the sense of the word and understanding of that. It likely causes us to question or brings out curiosities in the events that occurred. This passage is not even a full chapter, but the breadth of faith that it takes to experience this passage is certainly important and necessary. We can read as this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and finally this happened. But we have to understand the importance of why it happened. Why did Jesus go up to the mountain? Why did Jesus say those harsh words towards the disciples? Why did the voice from the clouds cry out? Why did they see Moses and Elijah while on the mountain? Why was Jesus left alone after the transfigurative experience? There are a lot of whys that come to mind in this passage, and it could likely carry much more than a week of time. Trust me, friends. But this Wednesday, we began a transformative journey of sorrow, solemnity, and separation. This Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, when we realize our mortality and remember that from dust we come, to dust we shall return. The season of Lent can produce many emotions. It can also be one of the most transformative experiences and seasons of the church year. It is my prayer that this journey will be unlike any other, and that you will feel God's presence in the moments of prayer, contemplation, meditation, and all other experiences that you will encounter in the journey ahead. May we prepare our hearts for this season of Lent as we contemplate the whys of this coming season and the immense passages that lie ahead in our Lenten journey. Amen. Let us pray. God of all loving kindness, transform us to do amazing things as we near this season of Lent. Help us to do amazing work. Amen.